Hey gang, what's going on? So, week 11's in the books. We have 2 weeks left in the season, and it's been a fun season to watch. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and we are getting down to the wire. We have 2 weeks left. We have the college football bowl games and the playoffs, as well as the conference championship games. So, let's get into the recap. But before I do that, if you could hit that bell notification icon button, as well as the shares and the likes and the subscribe buttons, it would be greatly appreciated. So I thank you all who do subscribe. So let's get into it. Starting off with our Thursday game. So the 2-7 Virginia Cavaliers, who were 1-4 against the ACC, were visiting the number 11 Louisville Cardinals, who are 8-1 on the year and 5-1 going into this game against the ACC. And Virginia played Louisville pretty tough in the third quarter, but then kind of just fell off. And Louisville gets the W at home, 31-24. So Virginia drops to 2-8 on the year and 1-5 versus the ACC. While Louisville goes 9-1 and 6-1 when facing the ACC. Let's get on to these Saturday games. We had a lot of great games. We had a couple upsets, so let's jump into it. For our next game, we have Michigan State, who is unranked, and they were 3-6 going into this game against Ohio State at Ohio State, and 1-5 when facing the Big Ten, while they were going up against the number one college football playoff ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, who were 9-0 going into this game and 7-0 against the Big Ten. So Ohio State ran right through Michigan State, as I thought they were going to do. They took care of business, so they win 38-3 at home. Michigan State drops to 3-7 and 1-6 when facing Big Ten teams, while Ohio State and the Buckeyes go to 10-0 on the year, while going to 7-0 when facing the Big Ten Conference. Moving on to our next game, we have number 9 ranked Ole Miss, who was 7-2 and 4-2 against 5-1 against the SEC. While we had the number 2 ranked Georgia Bulldogs in the college football playoff rankings, who was 9-0 and 6-0 when facing off against SEC opponents. So Georgia was at home in this game, and Georgia took care of business as I thought they would. They ran through number 9 Ole Miss, and the Bulldogs get a 52-17 win over the Rebels. So the Rebels dropped to 8-2 on the year and 5-2 in the SEC, while Georgia goes to 10-0 on the year and 7-0 when squaring off against SEC opponents. Coming up next, we've got our number 3 Michigan Wolverine team going up against the number 10 Penn State Nittany Lions. Now, in the wake of the sign-stealing scandal, Jim Harbaugh was suspended, so he was not on the sidelines for this game, and interim head coach Shannon Moore was the one who was doing the coaching and filling in for Jim Harbaugh. And even regardless, without Jim Harbaugh, Michigan gets the win, 24-15 over Penn State at Penn State. Michigan was 9-0 going into this game and 6-0 when facing off against the Big Ten. Well, they're now 10-0 and 7-0 against Big Ten teams, while Penn State drops to 8-2 on the year and 5-2 against Big Ten teams. This is before that they were 8-1 and 5-1 against Big Ten teams. So Michigan gets the job done, and they have shown why they are a very resilient college football team. Coming in on our next game, we have the unranked Miami Hurricanes going up against the number 4 ranked Florida State Seminoles. Miami went in this game looking to upset Florida State. they did not get the job done. They played them nitty-gritty. They played them tough as they always do. But Florida State came out with the win, 27-20 at the Doak. So Miami drops to 6-4 on the year and 2-4 when facing off against ACC opponents, while Florida State moves to 10-0 on the year and 8-0 against ACC opponents. So Florida State is really making a name for themselves. Mike Norvell has done a great job this year on getting this team back on track. Coming up next, we've got the number 18 Utah Utes going up against the number 5 Washington Huskies. So, Utah visiting Husky Stadium with that crowd. I expected them to lose, which they did, and they lost by a touchdown. Was not a very close game. It was not a blowout, but it was definitely a close game. So Washington gets the win, 35-28, dropping Utah to 7-3 on the year and 4-3 while facing Pac-12 opponents. And Washington moves to 10-0 on the year while improving to 7-0 against Pac-12 opponents. Coming in our next game, we've got the USC Trojans visiting the number 6 Oregon Ducks. Oregon was the favorite in this game. I expected them to win at home, and they did. They got the 36-27 win, dropping USC to 7-4 on the year and 5-3 against Pac-12 teams, while Oregon improves to 9-1 on the year and 6-1 against the Pac-12. Coming in our next game, well, this game was a lot closer than it should have been, and it definitely could have ended in an upset, but it did not, luckily for Texas. So, Texas walks out of TCU with a win, a 29-26 win. So, Texas improves to 9-1 on the year and 6-1 versus the Big 12, while TCU drops to 4-6 on the year and 2-5 against the Big 12. Coming in our next game, we had Alabama visiting Kentucky at home. Alabama, the number 8 Crimson Tide, that is, came out with a win, 49-21, won in convincing fashion. So Alabama improves to 9-1 on the year, while they remain undefeated at 7-0 against SEC opponents, and Kentucky drops to 6-4 on the year, while going 3-4 versus the SEC. Coming in our next game, we have Oregon State, the number 12 Oregon State Beavers, hosting the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford came into this game going 2-5 against Pac-12 teams. Well, that just dropped to 2-6 because they got blown out 62-17. Stanford gets blown out in this game, and they dropped to 3-7 on the year and 2-6 versus the Pac-12. While Oregon State improves to 8-2 on the year and 5-2 against the Pac-12. Coming in with our first upset of the week, it is the number 13 Tennessee. The Volunteers were visiting the number 14 Missouri Tigers. Tennessee was favorited in this game, but I had Missouri winning it, which they did. So Tennessee drops this game 36-7. Dropping them to 7-3 on the year and 3-3 versus the SEC, while Missouri improves to 8-2 on the year and 4-2 against SEC opponents. Coming in at our next game, we have the number 15 Oklahoma State Cowboys being hosted by the UCF Knights. UCF is unranked this year, and I did not expect them to win, but they not only won, but they blew out Oklahoma State. So, the final score of this game was 45-3. Oklahoma State only managed to get a field goal and nothing else after that. UCF outplayed them to get the win and the upset. So, Oklahoma State goes to 7-3. on the year, while dropping to 5-2 versus Big 12 opponents, and UCF, the Knights, go to 5-5 on the year and 2-5 versus Big 12 opponents. So congratulations to both Missouri and UCF on their upsets. And for the third upset of the week, we have Texas Tech visiting the number 16 ranked Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas was favored in this game. I had Kansas winning this game. Texas Tech ultimately came out with a 16-13 victory on the road, so congratulations to them. They moved to 5-5 on the year, while they moved to 4-3 against the Big 12. Kansas will drop to 7-3 on the year and 4-3 versus Big 12 opponents. So Kansas with the upset loss and Texas Tech with the win. Coming in next, we have the unranked West Virginia Mountaineers. The West Virginia Mountaineers versus the number 17 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Well, this game did not stay close very long. Oklahoma came in with this game with one thing on their mind, and that was to win, and they won big and very convincingly. They win 59-20, dropping West Virginia to 6-4 on the year and 4-3 versus the Big 12, while Oklahoma goes to 8-2 on the year and 5-2 against the Big 12. And Florida was visiting the number 19 LSU Tigers. The Gators in this game, well, they've already lost 2 in a row. They already lost to Arkansas. They were looking to possibly bounce back. Couldn't get the job done. Florida drops this game 52-35. Florida goes to 5-5 on the year and 3-4 against the SEC, while LSU goes to 7-3 and 5-2 against the SEC. Florida's schedule does not get any easier after this. They've got Missouri and then Florida State at home. So, doesn't look very promising for the Gators. Coming in with our next game, another upset possibly? No. This was looking like it, but it ended up being that the ranked team got the win. This game was between the number 21 Arizona Wildcats and the unranked Colorado Buffaloes. Arizona was visiting Colorado and get a road win 34-31. Arizona moves to 7-3 on the year, while they move to 5-12 against the Pac-12. Or 5-2 against the Pac-12. 7-3 on the year, 5-2 against the Pac-12. While Colorado drops to 4-6 on the year and 1-6 on the Pac-12. Very inconsistent football after a really nice start. Couldn't seem to pull it together. And now this is where they're at. Coming in with our next game, we have Rutgers visiting the number 22 Iowa Hawkeyes. And Iowa shut out Rutgers 22-0 at home. Rutgers drops to 6-4 on the year and 3-4 versus Big Ten opponents, while Iowa improves to 8-2 on the year and 5-2 against Big Ten opponents. Coming in on our next game, we have Tulsa going up against the number 23 ranked Tulane Green Wave. Tulsa dropped this game 24-22, and they dropped to 3-7 on the year and 1-5 versus American Conference opponents, while Tulane improves to 9-1 on the year and remain undefeated against American Conference opponents by moving up to 6-0 on the year against them. Coming in at another very close game, which I thought could have been an upset as well, by the way that it was played. We have number 24, the North Carolina Tar Heels hosting the unranked Duke Blue Devils. They were very close to getting upset, but they held on for the win, 47-45. Duke drops to 6-4 on the year and 3-3 versus the American Coastal Conference teams, while North Carolina improves to 8-2 on the year and 4-2 against the ACC. And wrapping up this week's games, we have Kansas State, number 25 Kansas State, hosting the unranked Baylor Bears. The number 25 Wildcats got the job done at home and win big, 59-25, dropping Baylor to 3-7 on the year and 2-5 versus the Big 12. While Kansas State improves to 7-3 on the year and 5-2 against the Big 12. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of this week's recap. Love to get into it with you. Until next time, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you next time.